Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood, feeling blessed.
Hey, back with chapter 3.3. Why and with what effects did Britain and France pursue a policy of appeasement? So, the impacts of economic and military considerations for foreign policy. So, after World War I, there were so many damages. Still, Britain and France are still recovering, and they do not want to go to war again, especially after the destruction caused, and also the Great Depression, and unemployment, poverty, governments low on money, inflation, everything. Like, these countries were going through it at this time, and they didn't want to spend a lot on building up their armies or fighting another war. This made them avoid tough actions like military threats, sanctions, like countries against Japan, Germany, Italy. Even when those countries broke like international agreements, they did nothing about it. And Britain also had like a lot to take care of. Like they had a lot of land. So the military was already stretched thinly because they had like colonies overseas, and then they have Britain. They have to protect it with the navy because they're like an island almost. Like, it's just bad. And France built strong defenses at its borders, hoping that that would protect itself, but like doesn't really do anything. Then they have the changing nature of relations with the USSR and impact on foreign policy. At first, Britain and France didn't trust the Soviet Union, which is the USSR, and they didn't like communism and were unsure about making deals with Stalin. But as Germany grew stronger and more dangerous, some leaders started to think it might be smart to work with the USSR. The USSR also began to worry about Hitler's power and wanted to form alliances with Britain and France, which was unlikely. And Britain didn't want to fully support the Soviets, but this like really hurt Stalin and made him feel left out and like sad. And when Germany signed the Anti-Comintern Pact against communism, Stalin became even more worried, and he tried to actually join the League of Nations in 1935, but even then he felt like Britain and France were like ignoring him and didn't really want to work with him. And yeah, they turned instead, like, because of Britain and France not wanting to make a deal with him, he turned to Germany and made a deal with Hitler instead. Some actions taken to appease Hitler. Britain and France thought that giving in to Hitler of the demands might avoid another war. For example, they allowed Germany to take back land like the Rhineland and Anschluss, even though it broke the Treaty of Versailles. They believed that would stop Hitler if he got what he wanted. But he just kept asking for more and more and wanted to fix the unfair parts of the treaty, but at the same time, like, he thought everything in the treaty was unfair, so he was just gonna go completely against it. And they were still dealing with like economic problems, and same reason like Britain and France like just keep giving in to what he wants because they just want to avoid conflict. Like, they're just like, they're not going to confront him about any of this. Czechoslovakia and the Munich crisis. This was one of the biggest examples of appeasement, and it happened during the Munich crisis in 1938, which was when Hitler wanted to take over part of Czechoslovakia and Sudetenland, where many ethnic Germans lived. Britain and France didn't even want to start another war, so they met with Hitler at the Munich conference, where Czechoslovakia was not even invited. And at the meeting, like, Britain and France agreed to let Hitler take the Sudetenland if it would keep peace in Europe. Of course, he promised that he wouldn't do anything else. But just a little months later, like a little bit in the future, he conquered or like invaded Czechoslovakia and proved that appeasement was a really like not smart idea. And it made Stalin lose trust in Britain and France because they hadn't defended their ally. So in conclusion, Britain and France are like, they're kind of stupid. Britain and France chose appeasement because they wanted to avoid war, save money, and deal with problems at home, and they just didn't like want to confront Germany about it. They thought like everything would be fine if they just give him what he wanted, but he wanted more and more and more. And in the end, appeasement failed and made more war more likely and not less. The end. Bye.